Hey guys, welcome back. This is our solution video for the practice test for polygons. We will be taking this test the first day we come back, whether it's Monday or Thursday if you're on the B track. So make sure that you've taken the practice test. At this point, I've only got 10 students who have, so 91.5% of you guys still need to take this practice test, so make sure you take it on your own before you watch this video to see what you did wrong. All right, find the missing values of the variables. The diagram is not to scale. So on this one, we see we have a quadrilateral, meaning these angles add up to 360 degrees. The problem is this angle is an exterior angle instead of an interior angle. So the first thing we need to do is solve for x by finding the supplement. The supplement of 95 is going to be, let's see, 85. So then once we have this, we have 85 plus 93 plus 98. Then we subtract all of that from 360, which will give us our missing angle, which has to be 84 degrees. So our answer is B as in Bravo. None of my 10 students who took this so far got that wrong, so good job. Find the value of x. Again, on this one, it's a little bit different. It's not a quadrilateral. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So hexagon. So to find the sum of the interior angles, we do 6 minus 2, which will give us 4 triangles. If we split this up 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 4 times 180 would be 720 degrees. So the sum of all these angles has to add up to 720 degrees. There are two things we should do first, though. When we see this right angle, we know it's 90 degrees. Go ahead and write 90 degrees in there. Otherwise, there's a good chance you're going to skip over it. And there's also a good chance that I'll have one of the answers be what you would get if you accidentally forgot the 90 degrees. Next thing is this is an exterior angle. So the supplement 57 is going to be 123. So now we can add them all together. First, let's add all of our x terms. So we have 4x, 3x, and 2x, which is going to be 9x. So 9x plus, add all of your constants. So 126, again, don't forget the 90, 12, and 123. But don't add the 57 because it's an exterior angle, right? So that'll give us 351 degrees. And then all of that together has to add up to 720 degrees because we do have a hexagon. So 4 times 180 we said was 720. Then we subtract 351 from both sides, and we get 9x is equal to 369. And then we divide both sides by 10, by 9, and that'll leave us with x is equal to 41. So that's our answer, B, x is equal to 41. Find the values of the variables in the parallelogram. The diagram is not to scale. So on this one, it is a parallelogram. It's not a rhombus, so you have to be careful. That means x and y are going to be different angles, not necessarily the same unless it was actually a rhombus, because the diagonals only bisect the opposite angles when we have a rhombus. So in this case, because they are parallel lines, we know that the blue angles are alternate interior angles, so they have to be congruent. So right off the bat, I know if that's 34 degrees, y has to be 34 as well. Also, we know the opposite angles of a parallelogram are congruent, so this is going to be 117. Then the only thing we have left is x. Now again, it's not going to be 34 degrees unless this is a rhombus, but all they tell us is that it's a parallelogram. So we solve for the missing one by simply looking at the triangle we have here. So add up all these together and subtract it from 180, or set it equal to 180, however you want to do it, you understand. So our missing angle in that case is going to be 29 degrees. So x was, I believe, 29. Yeah. Y was 34 and Z was 117. So our answer is C as in Charlie. Number 4, we have a parallelogram again. If CDA, so angle CDA, that's going to be this one right here. Another shortcut is you can read the vertice in the middle. That's going to be the angle that's going to be that we're talking about. So the other two just tell you the other two rays that form that angle. So CDA is angle D. So if angle D is 78, I would go ahead and fill that in the diagram. Then find the measurement of angle BAD and DCB, which is going to be angle A and angle C. So A and C are going to be opposite angles, so they're going to be congruent to each other, just like how vertical angles have the same supplement. So the other thing is that these two angles are going to be same side interior. So the supplement of 78 is going to be 102, and the same thing is going to be happening over here. This is also going to be 102. Now they wanted us to solve for those two angles, BAD and DCB, which are these two, and they're both going to be 102. So our answers are both 102, which is B as in Bravo. Half my students solve for one of each of them. They probably didn't look carefully. DCB is not angle D, it's DCB, which is 102 as well. So do be careful. Number 5, for the parallelogram, the measurement of angle 2 is 3x minus 23, and measurement of angle 3 is 5x plus 51. So angles 2 and 3 here are going to be same side interior angles, so they are supplementary to each other if this is a parallelogram, because all the angles are going to be parallel, all the opposite sides are parallel. All right, so add them up, set them equal to 180 degrees. Then we can combine our like terms on the same side of the equal sign, which will give us 8x plus 28 is equal to 180. Subtract the 28 from both sides, leaving us with 8x is equal to 152. Then divide both sides by 8, leaving us with x is equal to 19. Once we have x is equal to 19, the last thing we asked for, what was the measurement of angle 1? Well, angle 1 over here is going to be vertical to angle 3. So if we plug in the value of x is 19 for angle 3, that'll leave us with 146 degrees. So if angle 3 is 146, that means angle 1 also has to be 146 degrees. So our answer would be D is in delta. So if you got measurement of angle 1 was 34, which 30% of them did, then that's because they solved for angle 2, which is not the same thing as angle 1. It would be the supplement of that if you plugged it in for angle 2. So be careful there, because those two were not equal. Number 6, LMNO is a parallelogram if ON, which is here, is 4x plus 4, NM is 2x plus 14, and LM is x plus 22, then solve for the value of x and NM. Well, the first thing is if this is a parallelogram, we know the opposite sides are parallel to each other, so we can set those two equal. So 4x plus 4 is equal to x minus 22. Now we can't combine like terms here because they're on the opposite side of the equal sign. So instead we subtract x from both sides, leaving us with 3x plus 4 is equal to 22. Then we subtract 4 from both sides, leaving us with 3x is equal to 18. Then divide by 3, so x is going to be equal to 6. Now that's only the first half. We still have to find out what NM is. Well, NM is this expression right here. So 2 times 6 is 12, plus 14 is going to leave us with 26. So our answer is B is in Bravo. Number 7, based on the information diagram, can you prove and explain that the figure is a parallelogram? So in this case, what are the markings telling us? Well, it's telling us that these opposite sides are congruent, and these opposite sides are congruent as well. So that is one of our properties of a parallelogram, that the opposite sides are congruent. So yes, we can use this information to prove that the triangle is a parallelogram. So yes, it is a parallelogram, and the reason is because the opposite sides are parallel and congruent? No. See, it is true that they are parallel, but they're only showing us that the opposite sides are congruent. So our answer would be D is in delta. So it looks like the most common mistake was B. The diagram here is not giving you markings for parallel. Remember, our parallel markings are either going to be little chevrons or little triangles. Number 8, which statement is true? All quadrilaterals are parallelograms. All parallelograms are quadrilaterals. All rectangles are squares, or all parallelograms are squares. Well, certainly not every parallelogram is a square, but every square is a parallelogram. It goes the other way. All rectangles are squares. That's not true. A square is a special rectangle where all the sides are the same. All parallelograms are quads. Yes, that's true. If it's a parallelogram, it does have 4 sides, but not all quadrilaterals are parallelograms because they could be kites and they could be trapezoids. So the correct answer here would be B as in Bravo. So be careful. Number 9, find the value of each variable. The diagram is not to scale. The first thing we have to do is identify what quadrilateral we're dealing with. Well, if all 4 sides are congruent to each other, this is a rhombus. If you remember, the two properties of the diagonals of the rhombus is that they're perpendicular to each other and they bisect the opposite angles. Well, so if they're perpendicular to each other, then that means that x has to be 90 degrees. So that eliminates 2 of our options here. So it can't be B and can't be A. And then from there, another way of remembering the properties of a rhombus is that all 4 of these triangles are going to be the same congruent right triangles, meaning this 50 degrees is going to be the same on the other side, and it's going to be the same over here as well. That's also because a rhombus is a parallelogram, so the opposite angles have to be congruent. If they bisect each other, then the 50 and the 50 has to be the same 50 and 50 over here, because they both have to add up to 100 in this case. All right, so y would be 50 degrees. So we have x is 90, y is 50, so z has to be 40. But in this case, we also see we have a triangle, and so if 90 degrees is going to be one of our angles, the others two have to add up to 90, so the complement of 50 is going to be 40, so z sure enough is equal to 40. So our answer is C as in Charlie. Looks like everybody got that one right, so good job. Number 10, find the value of x and y. Again, they don't tell us what the shape is, so we have to figure out what kind of quadrilateral. These 2 sides are congruent and these 2 sides are congruent as well. This kind of looks like it could be a rhombus or a square, but given these markings here, it's actually going to be a kite, and we're going to have one vertical line of symmetry. That's because 2 consecutive sides are going to be congruent to each other. So if we have a vertical line of symmetry, that means anything that happens on this side of the triangle has to happen on the other side as well. We could actually prove that pretty quick by knowing that this side's reflexive, and so everything on this triangle and this triangle, the corresponding parts are all going to be congruent because they're congruent by side, side, side. So if this is 34, it means x is going to be 34 as well. Apparently I forgot to make that one fade out. There we go. And then the same thing down here. If that's 56, the other side's 56. But that doesn't help us solve for y. So the way we'd solve for y is we know that these are all going to be adding up to 180 degrees, right? So 56 plus 34 is 90. So the missing angle y here has to be 90 degrees as well. So our answers are going to be x is 34 and y is equal to 90. So that's B as in Bravo. Looks like everybody got that right as well. And rectangle DEFG, DF is going to be, okay, so DF is the whole diagonal and EH is going to be a half of a diagonal. So we have to be careful on this one because they're not going to be congruent to each other because one of them is a whole and the other one is a half. But in general, with a rectangle, the diagonals are going to be congruent, right? But one of them was a half. So there's two ways we can fix this. We can either cut the DF in half, which is pretty easy to do because these are both even numbers. So instead of 6x minus 2, we're just going to do 3x minus 1. And then set that equal to the other half, which is EH, which is 2x plus 4. The other way you could set this up is you could double the half. So you could take EH and multiply it by 2 and say that 6x minus 2 is equal to, would be 4x plus 8. That's just a little bit more work. It's half of one, double the other. It doesn't really matter. So our next step, we're going to subtract 2x, which is nice because that's going to go to x minus 1 is equal to 4. Then we add 1 to both sides, leaving us with x is equal to 5. The next step, even though we know that has to be our answer, is we want to find df and EH. So df, again, is this 6x minus 2. So multiply that by 5 will give us 30 minus 2 is 28. And if the whole thing is 28, half of it has to be 14, right? So sure enough, if we plug that in, 10 plus 4 is 14. So we know we did it right. So the answer should be C as in Charlie. Number 12, find the values of A and B. Again, diagram's not to scale. Once again, I don't tell you what the shape is. You have to look at the diagram and see what it's telling you from the markings. So these little chevrons tell us that these two lines are parallel. So there's like parallel bases. And we only have one set of parallel lines, meaning this is not a parallelogram. Instead, it's a trapezoid. We don't know if it's an isosceles trapezoid because these sides are not necessarily congruent. They're also not telling us if the base angles are congruent either. So nor that the diagonals are congruent. Any one of those would tell us that this would be an isosceles trapezoid. So instead, all we know is that we have two pair of same side interior angles that are going to be same side interior with those two parallel lines and our transversal cutting across. So the supplement of 121 is going to leave us with B is 59 and A is going to be the supplement here, which is 123. So A is 113 and B is 59. So our answer is A as in Charlie. 13. The measure of an exterior angle of a regular polygon is 72 degrees. So what's the name of the polygon? Well, the first thing we remember about the exterior angles of a polygon is that they always add up to 360 degrees, regardless of the number of sides. So in this case, if one of the exterior angles is 72 degrees, we want to know how many 72 degree angles does it take to get it up to 360 degrees. So you probably already know you do 360 divided by 72, and that'll give you the answer. But if you want to see how we do it from the formula, it goes like this. So the sum of the exterior angles is 360 degrees, which is the n angles times the each individual exterior angle. In this case, the exterior angle they told us was 72 degrees, so we have 72 times n is equal to 360. So we divide both sides by 72, leaving us with n is equal to 5. So this must have 5 sides, which would mean that it has to be a pentagon, which would be B as in Bravo. Looks like everyone got that right. Good job. Solve for the values of x and y and the regular polygon. Again, this is a regular polygon, meaning it has the same, all the angles and all the sides are the exact same. They're all congruent. And we got to count the number of sides. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 sides, meaning this is a heptagon or a septagon, meaning also there would be 7 angles and they're all the exact same angle. So that 7x is going to add up to the sum of the interior angles, which to find the sum of the interior angles, we're going to have to do the number of sides minus 2. So that would be 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 times 180 is going to be 900. So the 7x is equal to 900. So we divide the 900 divided by 7x by 7 to figure out what each x is going to be equal to. So I guess I can show that over here. So we have 7x is equal to 900. So we divide both sides by 7, leaving us with x is equal to, I think it's 128.6. Yeah. All right, 128.6. So if that's one of these interior angles, what would y be? Well, the y would be the supplement of that, right? So it's going to be 51.4, so our answer would be C as in Charlie. The other way you could do it is the same way we did before. The exterior angles all add up to 360, right? So we know that those 7 y angles has to be 360 degrees. So if we divide that by 7, that'll give us y has to be equal to 51.4 degrees. Yeah, kind of cool. Number 15, find the values of x, y, and z. So on this one, we've got a triangle inside of a triangle inside of a triangle. All right, so we've got a triangle here, which is 25 and 65. If we add those together, that's 90. So the missing part here is 90 degrees. And if this is 90, its supplement is 90 as well. So x is going to be 90. So we know right off the bat it can't be A or C. So it's either B or D. So this is 90 degrees. And then 90 plus 15 is 105. And then the supplement of that, because again, these also add up to 180 degrees, will leave us with, 75 degrees. And so our answer has to be D. But then the supplement of 75 would be right back where we started, which is 105 degrees. So our answer is D is in delta. Looks like everyone got that right. And then the last one, again, this one, the diagram might look different than what you had if I gave you the printed version. It's because on the printed version, I forgot to put the right one on it. So I had the older version instead of the new one that we're using. So these are the expressions you have. So if you don't have these expressions, you can go ahead and pause the video, try working out with these and see and make sure you actually know how to do it. I believe if you had the old one, you did it right if you got x was equal to 4. But on the new diagram, we're going to do that in just a second. All right, so the formula is 2 times the mid segment is equal to the sum of the bases. You'll have it on the test just like I gave it to you on the practice test. So 2 times the mid segment is here. That's going to be our 3x minus 6. So 2 times 3x minus 6 is equal to the sum of the bases, which is 2x plus 1 plus 25. Then to get rid of the parentheses, we have to distribute through. So 2 times 3x is 6x minus 12 is equal to 2x plus 24 if I combine the like terms. Then I'm going to subtract the 2x on both sides. That way I don't have any negatives, leaving me with negative 12, or 4 minus 12 is equal to 24. Then I add 12 to both sides, leaving me with 4x is equal to 36, and divide by 4, so x has to be equal to 9. All right, so they just wanted you to solve for x. You don't have to plug it in for anything, so x is equal to 9 would be C as in Charlie. Looks like most of you guys got that right. I think a few of them that got it wrong were just picking an answer choice closest to the answer 4 that you got because you were looking at the other diagram. So don't worry about that. And that's it. So let me know if you guys have any questions. We are going to take this test the first day we come back this upcoming week. So whether that's Monday if you're on the A track or on Thursday if you're on the B track. Then the next following day we'll be able to do our remediation. We'll go over the ones that you missed and you'll be able to retake the problems that you missed, but do your best so you don't have to retake a bunch of them. And that's it. So I'll see you guys later. Also, your homework will be due the day we take the test, so that's when I'll be putting in the grades for that as well. So see you guys later. Let me know if you need any help.